Hi there. So if you're like me, you're at the tail end of your MA or your MS in counseling, and it's time to prepare for the CPCE or the NCE. And I haven't met anybody who's like, ooh, yay, I get to take a test. So if you have trouble with test taking, then these two tips are for you. The first thing is to recall what we know about memory. So you will remember that we have implicit and explicit memory. So sensory, short-term, long-term are stages of memory. And you will remember that in order to do that, you have to have a retainment and a recall in order for that to become something that's crystal. And yet most of the people that I'm meeting are trying to cram for something as opposed to this is information I need for life. So my first tip to you is to treat this like a lifelong memory. And think of it that way. Like, this is not something I just want as a one for done, but this is something that I want forever. And when I started thinking that way, I started retaining a lot more information. And that's part of the reason why I started thinking about it in terms of I want a boot camp that didn't answer the questions that I thought needed to be answered. Then it became a lot easier to retain the information. So the first thing is remember the concept of memory that we've all learned, that idea of implicit and explicit memory, and think of this as something that you want to remember forever, as opposed to something that I just need to cram to get through the test. So that was the first thing that helped me, because when I started thinking of it as ways that I could relay as life stories to other people, the retention was significant. The second thing that I wanted to mention to you in terms of test-taking strategies is mnemonics. Mnemonics have been my friend for a very long time. As I've gotten older, the mnemonics have been more helpful. And so here I'll give you an example. Leon Festinger, Festinger, is not someone that I studied in my MS in counseling, and yet is someone that I need to know something about. And you would think, because it's social psychology, and I'm particularly interested in social psychology, that would fit, and yet it didn't. So I was making up a mnemonic one day, and I came up with everything's a festa, everything's a party, on Facebook. And everything's a festa on Facebook is Leon Festinger, because he does social psychology, and the idea is fear of missing out. So when you see these beautiful curated images on Facebook where everybody is happy and life is amazing, and people think, well, that's not my life, it can cause a bit of a downturn. So the way that I remember Leon Festinger is everything's a festa on Facebook. And that's been very helpful, because it was just enough of a mnemonic that I remembered, oh, right, he was social psychology with Kurt Lewin. And then it allowed me to create the little synapse ladders to other things. So in review, remember that implicit and explicit memory are your friends. Think of this as something lifelong as opposed to something that I just need to cram for. And I think you'll find that you're retaining things. And then the second thing to think about is, when in doubt, make a mnemonic. If you've got somebody that for just some reason you cannot remember, that is a great way of doing it. So good luck. I'm rooting for you.